What if the reason feel empty isn't because something is missing, but because someone is calling you? There was a boy who used to sit alone every night, staring at the ceiling, wondering why life felt so heavy. He had people around him, but still felt alone. He smiled outside, but inside he was tired. One night, when everything felt too much, he whispered, "God, if you're real, I need you." He didn't know it yet, but that small, honest moment was the beginning of something powerful. Nothing dramatic happened that night, no loud voice, no sudden miracle, but deep inside, something shifted. It was a quiet kind of peace, something he couldn't explain. The problems were still there, his life hadn't magically changed, but his heart felt lighter. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel completely alone. That feeling stayed with him, and it made him curious. He started searching, trying to understand who Jesus really is. As he began to learn about Jesus, he realized something surprising. Jesus didn't come for perfect people. He came for the broken, the tired, the lost. He came for people exactly like him. Every story he read felt personal, like it was speaking directly to his heart. He saw how Jesus didn't reject people for their flaws, but loved them in the middle of their mess. And slowly, he began to believe that maybe, just maybe, that love was meant for him too. The more he thought about it, the more it made sense. If Jesus could calm storms, heal pain, and give hope back then, why couldn't he still do it now? Maybe not always by changing situations instantly, but by changing something deeper. The boy started noticing that whenever he felt overwhelmed, that same quiet peace would return. It didn't remove the storm, but it helped him stand in the middle of it without falling apart. There came a day when everything seemed to go wrong. He felt like he was losing control of everything he cared about. Fear came rushing back, stronger than ever. For a moment, he thought maybe nothing had really changed. But then he remembered something simple. He didn't have to face it alone anymore. Instead of giving in to fear, he chose to trust, not perfectly, not confidently, but honestly, and that made all the difference. From that moment on, he stopped treating God like a last option. He stopped only praying when things went wrong. Instead, he started talking to Jesus like someone who was always there, not just in pain, but in everyday life. And the more he did that, the more real that presence became. It wasn't about religion anymore, it was about relationship. Slowly, his mindset began to change. The same situations that once broke him now made him stronger, not because life got easier, but because he wasn't carrying it alone anymore. He began to understand that Jesus doesn't always remove the struggle, but he gives you strength within it, and that strength is what transforms you from the inside out. One day, he looked at himself and realized something had changed. He was still the same person, living the same life, facing the same world, but inside, he was different. There was a calmness where anxiety used to be. There was hope where there used to be emptiness. And it all came from trusting someone he couldn't see, but could clearly feel. He finally understood that life will always have storms, pain, confusion, and hard moments are part of being human. But with Jesus, those storms don't define you anymore. You're no longer fighting alone. Even in silence, there is a presence walking with you, guiding you, holding you together when everything else feels like it's falling apart. Now, when he sees others struggling the way he once did, he wishes he could tell them the same thing he learned. That you don't have to fix yourself before coming to Jesus. You don't have to be strong first. You just have to be real, because his love meets you exactly where you are, not where you pretend to be. Because true peace isn't something you find in the world. It's not in success, people, or distractions. It's something deeper. It's something that stays even when everything else changes. And that kind of peace only comes when you let Jesus into your heart. And maybe, this moment right now isn't random. Maybe this is your moment. The same way that boy once whispered a simple prayer. You can too. You don't need perfect words, just an honest heart. Because sometimes, the smallest step toward Jesus becomes the biggest turning point in your life.